Well, welcome everybody here in person and everybody online to today's release of the Phase 1 investigation into the Maui Lahaina wildfires. Before I get started, I want to remind everybody that notwithstanding the resilience and the strength of the people of Lahaina and West Maui, the trauma that they endured continues today. And I ask that you be compassionate in the way that you report, you write, and talk about this story. Today, Dr. Steve Kerber and Derek Alconis will be presenting their detailed report, and by detailed I mean over 12,000 data points that details how state and county government functioned just prior to and during the wildfire. Let me first, though, refresh everybody's memory about why this came about. A few days after the wildfire, I was speaking with the governor, and he and I were asking the same questions that everybody else was, which is, how could something like this have ever happened? During that conversation, he and I both agreed that good governance demanded that we investigate how state and county government functioned during this process. What policies and procedures were in place that worked, which were in place that didn't work, and then determining why to those questions. And then finally, being able to understand the facts and the whys so that we can obtain recommendations about best practices for policies and procedures so that the state policymakers can move forward in a way so that this absolutely never happens again. And I want to be clear that it is my mission and the governor's mission and belief that we do this right, that we do this transparently, and we do this based on science-based evidence and facts. After I left that meeting tasked with this investigation, I contacted two people to ask if they could assist me in identifying who might be able to carry out such an investigation. I contacted the director of FEMA and the United States Fire Administrator. Both unequivocally said Fire Safety Research Institute generally and Dr. Steve Kerber specifically. As a result of those conversations, I contacted Dr. Kerber, and he and I had a series of conversations. Not knowing very much about fires like this, I had a lot of questions for Dr. Kerber, so we ended up talking through many points of how to proceed. I had a few requirements as part of this process. The first is that this investigation has to be completed within 12 to 18 months. The people of Hawaii can't wait 4 years or 5 years for this report to come out. We need to do it now while things are fresh in our minds so that we can get to work. The second part is I didn't want to engage in an investigation that might take 18 months and not have anybody know anything during the investigation. So I wanted to be able to break this up into phases so that at the end of each phase I could report to the people of Hawaii, and they could be engaged in what is happening. The next part that I think FSRI and I share deeply is the importance of transparency. It is part of FSRI's mission to be transparent in the research and the work that they do, and it is my belief that we must be transparent with a situation like this. So today, we are releasing, or we have released, the Phase 1 report. And again, it details minute by minute what unfolded from August 8th through August 9th. The Phase 2 report will come out in late summer, maybe early autumn, I'm not sure. But that phase will be an analysis of using these facts combined with the emergency management plans, the policies and procedures that were in place at the state and county level to understand what we did right, what we did wrong. And then the final phase will be released before the end of the year, and that will include from FSRI's research-based understanding the best practices and for policies and procedures and priorities on a going forward basis, so that policymakers in Hawaii can get to work figuring out how we move forward and keep everybody safe. Before I bring up Dr. Kerber and Derek, let me tell you just a little bit about them. Dr. Kerber is a 13-year veteran of the Fire Service. He currently leads the fire safety research work that is dedicated to solving the issues, the problems that arise with unresolved fire, with ensuring that through science they are able to help Hawaii and the world learn how to prevent disasters like these, prevent death and injury and loss.